Peace, greetings to you all. It's your brother Nyhiem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Ooh-wee. Today, I came across, before I do that, man, I'm bugging. Shout out to everybody that's listening in. Shout out to the whole Be the Power family, my Be the Power bros. Got my brother Ali Bey on deck. Got my brother Josh on deck. It's your brother Nyhiem on deck. My brother Logic should be joining us shortly. And we're going to have a discussion tonight about what went down earlier with my debate with Mysonne. That was funny. I think the brother really thought he won that debate. It was funny to me. But hit the like button, family. If you just coming in, you can make a contribution to our platform by using the super chat, or you can cash app your contribution to Be the Power. You can also make monthly recurring contributions to our Patreon. The link is in the description. We're going to give away a free BTP sweater soon for our 10,000 subscribers. I'm just trying to work out the logistics on that, but it will definitely be to one of our Patreon members. What else? Just click like. That don't cost you a dime, family. That ain't gonna cost you nothing. Click the like button. So I came across a video today. I came across a video today, and it was with Mysonne conversation with, what's his name, man? Nick Cannon. It was an older video. I thought it was something newer. It was the one thing that he was able to correct me on in the debate. And I commented, I was like, what do you mean black men don't protect black women? And I'm going to play the audio for y'all so that y'all can hear it in its context. Like, what is this guy talking about? And I'm listening. I'm like, what? And I basically replied like, well, I could say the same thing about black women then, right? They put us on child support. They stop us from seeing our children. They could tell us that a baby is not out, etc. Whatever I said in the comment. Like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be singling out our men. We're a family unit. We are a family unit. Matter of fact, because I was going to start off with Shahrazad Ali, but let me go to the video of Mysonne, and let me play that. So the conversation went on and on and on. The conversation dragged. I made my point as soon as I came in. You can't defeat the fact that number one, you sound crazy. I spoke about how during Roland Martin's conversation with Ice Cube, Roland Martin brought up this statistic that said black men, 20% of black men were disaffected Democrats, people who are leaning towards the Republican Party now. When he said that, his intention became clear. His bringing Alicia Garza on, who we're going to speak about later, became clear that this is a push to try to get us masculine men in line. Bow down. Get behind Joe Biden. Get behind Miss Black Girl Magic from India, Kamala Harris. She's an Indian American. She's not an African American.
That's right.
Let's be clear about these things. So
you did use the word disaffected, right? And I think what I noticed is that people in the chat, and I think even my son, didn't understand the word disaffected.
Yeah.
Right. So they thought that you meant disenfranchised, but
okay.
Disaffected is actually the right word. Just
it's all good. I was debating with my bro earlier. Shout out to my brother Buck. And he was like, "Yo, man, you using too many big words. Just talk your regular talk."
Yeah, but go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So we seen what the play was. You know, the play was y'all. Roland Martin brought this up about masculine men. It was some conversation that he had during one of his live streams where he spoke about masculine men lean towards Trump. There's something about his rhetoric and how he carries himself, masculine black men, right? So I seen videos once Ice Cube came out. I seen videos of some, moist gay dudes. I ain't trying to, that's your thing, that's your thing. But these dudes was trying to call Ice Cube a coon because you seen that, right? I'm like, what is this moist dude talking about? What is this? Like, you're not man enough to say that to that man's face. So the key is we're gonna get on here and push an agenda that these people are so silly that they don't understand that excludes them. And we're gonna talk about all of that as well. Let me pull up this video by Mysonne so y'all can hear it. I want y'all to know what I responded to. I want y'all to hear his words and why it sounded ridiculous to me.
And for me, that's how serious it was. It was like, as a black man in America.
Let me know if y'all can hear it.
It sounds low.
That failed our black women in so many different ways. We haven't stood by them. We've allowed them to be beat and harmed and killed, and we've been silent. We've said we minded our business. And I just think in this moment, that's no longer acceptable.
Right.
So as being a co-founder of Until Freedom and accepting the leadership of a black woman like Tamika Mallory, who has shown that she's supposed to be a leader.
Right.
And accepting her leadership, knowing that sometimes I'm gonna have to stand in front of her, sometimes I'm gonna have to stand alongside her, sometimes I'm gonna have to stand behind her, and that's the role of a black man for me. So understanding that
positioning in all places. Yeah.
And I think we have to get back to that mentality as black men. So for me, that's what it is. It's establishing my rightful position as a black man in this world.
Right.
Because I'm supposed to be a black woman's protector. They're supposed to feel protected when I'm in the room. Every time I'm in the room or around, they're not supposed to feel like no harm can come to them.
Wow.
And I think we've moved so far from that we have to reestablish that.
Man,
all right, I just want to come back real quick to the very beginning of this.
And for me, that's how serious it was. It was like, as a black man in America, understanding that we ourselves have failed our black women in so many different ways. We haven't stood by them. We've allowed them to be beat and harmed and killed, and we've been silent. We've said we minded our business.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. I'm gonna stop it right there. I took issue with that. That you would utilize your voice to say that all, because he said, and he tried to say, I didn't say all. I said black people. And then he tried to use, and I don't know if y'all noticed, I was just laughing and smiling because he was stepping into the traps that he was trying to set for me. He was just stepping right into them. I took issue with that black men do not protect black women. And I came on and I showed improved by the history of our men standing by our women. Where have we been? We've never not been anywhere but besides our women. So that caused the brother to fold in things like domestic violence, et cetera, et cetera. And we had a discussion about that. But at the end of the day, he was never able to give an example of what he meant. And so he used anecdotal evidence or some personal story and said that, well, Megan Thee Stallion getting shot by Tory Lanez was the tipping point for him. Well, it's not like all of our men are going around shooting our women. Does violence happen against our women? Or do we have the highest rates of them? Yeah. I wasn't there to protect black women in that debate. I was there to protect the whole family unit.
Yeah.
What he's supposed to be doing. I was there to protect all of us. And by singling us out, then you are carrying out the white supremacist, paternalistic, ideology that seeks to keep us oppressed, particularly black men. And I might play a clip later from Bill Cosby where he was super conscious talking about that, talking about how our men were viewed in media, which then skewed the overall view of how our men were looked at in the public. He asked me to put up a post on Facebook. Do black women feel protected by black men? And I had to add, give an example, because I wanted to know if yes, why, if no, why not? And a majority of the women responded, and I'll pull that up in a second, and said, yeah, I feel protected by black men. My brothers, my uncles, my cousins, etc. Like, so it's a slap in the face to say that black men don't protect black women. What do you?
And let me say this.
Go ahead, brother.
Let me just say this. As I was listening to it, because I was listening live while it was happening. One of the things that really stuck out to me, right, and I kept pushing this point to the chat, the live chat. So, you know, what he's doing, and he may not have realized it at the time, but he probably does now. Was what he was doing was making what I call a false generalization, right? It's a false generalization, and it was based on, like you said, Megan Thee Stallion getting shot by Tory Lanez. And then as the incident unfolded, people on social media, other black men on social media, not believing her, not coming to her defense, thinking that she was lying or whatever the case is, right? There may be a number of reasons why people didn't believe what she was saying. It could have something to do with maybe they think that she's not a good character, you know, a witness for herself. They could have thought she was lying about it, right? Obviously, some of them thought she was lying. Nevertheless, it was based on that incident and the fact that black men, some black men, and he's not even quantifying that. He's just saying black men on social media did not come to her defense, and they were saying that she was lying. I would like to see the numbers, if he has any data on that, to see whether or not there was more black men who didn't come to her defense versus black men who did come to her defense and thought that she was telling the truth, right? We got to be honest about all this stuff. And then when you're presenting this kind of an argument, you need to be able to back that stuff up with data. There was no data. He was just telling you, like, well, on social media, you know, black men didn't come to her defense. That doesn't mean anything, right? Because that's not a number to say black men didn't come to her defense, so that black men were saying she was lying. That doesn't mean anything.
But Ali, let's do this real quick. Here are the rappers who have come out in support of Megan Thee Stallion following Tory Lanez shooting, because he said that, you know, dudes in the industry wasn't supporting her, that she barely got any support from dudes in the industry. I don't know nothing about that. I didn't really follow the story, to be honest with you. I don't know what happened. She got shot in her foot. Dude shot her in her foot. He's a sucker for that. Point blank, period. He's a sucker for that. And that's what I said. Okay, we got Bun B speaks out in support of Megan Thee Stallion. Let's see what else we got here. T.I. and it shows Chance the Rapper right there. That's T.I. from a video that Shade Room posted on Instagram. There go Chance the Rapper. Juice of Flatbush Zombies. Issa Gold of Underachievers. Lil Reese. Troy Ave. I don't know why. Yeah. Going out there, I got too many pages open. Troy Ave is a couple of more of them. Cardi B ain't no dude. Maxo Cream, and a brother named Trey the Truth from Houston, who put a picture of Megan Thee Stallion up on his profile. Like, so I don't know what he's talking about. And the problem with brothers like that who are trying to force a specific narrative is like I said earlier, they create these arguments from anecdotes or anecdotal evidence that says, oh, I got 8 videos up on my platform that shows black men violating black women. Okay,
right.
brother, does that mean that all black men do that? And does that mean that black men are not protectors of black women? That makes absolutely no sense. And we got to talk about this tonight because this is a byproduct of white supremacy. And it has to be talked about.
Let me say this. One of the arguments that he was trying to make was that I didn't say all black men. Well, here's the thing. You don't have to say all black men. Because on the Nick Cannon thing that you just played, he said we've allowed X, Y, and Z to take place, and we as black men don't protect our women, right? He's taking a position of not only including himself, but he's also speaking on behalf of all black men, right? Because he's not making a distinction. He's not saying, well, let me just be clear about this. Some black men, and what I may think is too many, don't protect black women, right? See, that kind of a statement makes more sense if you're really thinking about what you're saying. But what he did was he made a generalization about an entire population of people within the United States simply because he didn't say some black men, or too many, in my opinion, don't protect black women. So if he had said that, then it would have made more sense.
Yeah,
right?
you keep scrolling. Like,
right,
because we can quantify that, right?
Exactly.
That's something that's quantifiable. You can't just make a blanket claim and then try to say, well, I didn't say all. Well, you meant all. And then you put yourself in that category. And what happened due to that debate was that people started to speak out. And let me share this. And you know, I spoke about logical fallacies earlier, and there is a logical fallacy called confirmation bias, where people are looking for the things that agree with their stances. And I'm about to do a little bit of confirmation bias right now, not just off the strength of trying to strengthen my own argument, but I agree with what was said. Now, this is from the sister Erica Lachey. She has a very strong following on not just IG, but on Twitter, etc. She said any black man who says black men don't protect women needs to say he himself doesn't protect us. Because if he did, he wouldn't even feel comfortable letting that statement come out of his mouth. She says some of y'all are telling on yourselves. Are there black men who mean us no good? Yes, but they don't make up the majority. Those of us with a quote unquote platform knows how negativity bias works. At the very least, your depiction of black people, men and women alike, be balanced. Driving a wedge between black men and black women for the sake of engagement is some opportunistic behavior. And that's what I pointed out to the brother when I said, what you're saying sounds like some Alicia Garza, Black Lives Matter, black men, masculine black men have toxic masculinity stuff. That's what it sounds like you're saying. She says, there's a way to demand accountability from black men without generalizing them. There are many black people who demand accountability in a very constructive, inspiring, musical, and outright graceful manner. By reiterating the beauty and divinity of black women, not only do you embolden black men to be more active in our protection, you inspire us, black women, to embody our divinity. Plus, black women who legit want better for our people don't like eunuchs. Woo! And if you don't know what a eunuch is, for those of you out there just now hearing that word, it's basically a man with his joint cut off.
Right.
She says we don't want a man who is going to say whatever he thinks we want to hear. Major turnover. And I got a post like that on my Instagram as well.
And let me say something, because she mentioned generalizations, and that was my point about the whole thing. It's a false generalization. But let me tell you what the problem with that is, right? And what that equates to. That equates to racial profiling, right? Racial profiling and false generalization is really the synonymous thing. And that stuff goes back to the time of the propaganda being pushed out during the Reconstruction period, when the white supremacists in that period were trying to remove black men from Congress, right? Remove black men from government. It goes all the way back to that. to that whole white supremacist movement of getting our people out of power. So since that time, propaganda, which is what we're seeing now with this whole toxic masculinity thing being launched against black men, being launched against Ice Cube. I mean, just different things. I just saw a tweet a little while ago from Jonathan Capehart talking about, he was quoting some other female talking about Ice Cube showed his ass and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And so basically what these people are doing is they're trying to attack masculine men. They're trying to attack black men. And at the same time, by doing that, what they don't understand that they're actually doing is attacking the black family. That's what you're doing. Because without the masculine man, you're not going to have the black family falls apart. You need the man, because the homosexual man is not interested in the black family unit, man, woman, and child, as it is given to us from the creator. They're on something completely different. So if you take the masculine man out of the picture, you're undermining the very foundation of the family that you come out of. You go on, bro.
But Brother Josh, before you come on, let me just share this real quick. It's a tweet from Jamel Hill. She says, this is Jamel Hill from ESPN. I have increasingly found that many black men just want better access to patriarchy. They don't actually want it dismantled. I have increasingly found that many black men just want better access to patriarchy. They don't actually want it dismantled. Again, another feminism, white supremacist talking point. What the hell is a patriarchy, fam? What is that? Because if you're saying that there's a patriarchy, then you're saying that there's a matriarchy and that these two elements are at battle. And when my brother Josh get finished speaking, I'm going to play something from our great elder sister Shahrazad Ali, where she speaks to this element and what we're witnessing today. This fight is many faceted. And then I'm going to play something during one of Sister Yvette Carnell shows where she had a brother on. I want to say his name was, what is it, Mike Curry or Tom Curry or something like that?
Dr. Tommy Curry.
Tommy Curry? Okay, Dr. Curry, which was ironically the first Yvette Carnell video I ever seen. I was like, who the hell is this chick? And she got 2,000 people on it. And that was a couple years back. So I wanted to share this with my people to let y'all know, men, whether you call yourself black, Moorish, African American, Hebrew Israelite, men, quote unquote black men, we are under attack because we don't want to fall in line with the democratic establishment as we see what's happening with Ice Cube, who is demanding something for all of our people. And we could have our issues with Ice Cube and him meeting with Trump, et cetera, et cetera. There's something deeper at play here. And that's what I'm speaking to. That's what I'm speaking to.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just wanted to say real quick, I ain't gonna take too much time because I want to get into the video. Just a couple things that I noticed from the conversation. And that was, you know, like we gotta understand, we, like you said on the debate, we effed up, man. We effed up. So I was looking at it earlier, and there's several studies that have made a correlation between domestic violence and poverty. Mm-hmm. You know, when you look at poverty, we at the bottom of the scale of that. Like we have the most. You look at every city, pretty much we at the bottom of the bottom. I know it. We talked about the color of wealth report. Middle black family and where I'm at, DC, $3,500. Mm-hmm. Middle white family, $384K. Middle Indian American family, Kamala Harris, $573K. Mm-hmm. So think about the effects of COVID. Think about the effects of the other crash that happened. You know, I don't think there's been a time in America where our employment levels have not been recessionary by American standards. So if you think about that in our wealth levels collectively, it's going to be an increase in domestic violence. So when and that's not even factoring in the history and everything we dealt with, racism and all these other pressures we're dealing with. be living in concentrated poverty. Usually, still neighborhoods are still segregated. We living in neighborhoods where it's a whole lot of people dealing with that packed up together, in close proximity.
That's right.
So when you want to talk about this, he's saying it, and he wants to isolate. Like he wants to isolate. Well, I'm not talking about white men. I don't want to compare to anybody else. Well, yeah, you have to do that because otherwise it makes it pathologizing our people, saying that we have some inherent dysfunction or inherent evil, and we have a problem. No, the problem. If you fix the economic problem, a lot of these other problems are going to be fixed, and that's what a lot of other studies have shown. So the argument he's making, we have to ask, like, brother, you should know better than this. If you're going to be getting on all these platforms, and your platform is large now, for you to not know this is irresponsible. So I have to believe it's some type of willful thing that you're doing.
Bag chasing.
And then you see, well, okay, now he's dealing with people that are in close proximity to some type of I don't want to say gatekeeper, but having some type of influence over black folks, being able to speak to black folks. He's making some associations, and some of these associations, look, let's speak plainly. If you're willing to cape for white feminism, there's a place for you to elevate. If you're willing to cape for white feminism, if you're willing to cape and step on ADOS, there's a place for you. If you're willing to step on ADOS males, black men, you will be. There's definitely room for you to elevate, especially on the left. You understand? So, I don't think you understand. If you don't, like, it's real messed up if you do understand. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, saying you don't understand. I really hope you don't understand, so then you can understand what you're doing. By doing this divide and conquer type of stuff with us is like, is terrible. Like, if you were a quote unquote white person saying that, you would be canceled. Like it would be a serious problem with people coming after you. But because you're not, they let you say this kind of stuff, and we let you say this kind of stuff. And so what happens is the like white supremacist ideology, they are allowed to code it and cloak it and switch it to a gender argument.
That's right.
And then it's just like you put bleach inside of a water bottle and people drink it. But if it was in the bleach bottle, you'd be like, hell no. But because they put it in the water bottle, that's the gender argument. Now people are drinking up, and then we wonder why we're being destroyed from the inside.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And before you play the clip, bro, you raised a great point during the debate, which was you might as well say that black people are criminals, right? Because it's almost the same kind of perspective. Like when white people say stuff like that, look at Chicago, right? And they'll do that as if to say Chicago is representative of Black America, right? Everybody in Chicago are not criminals. Everybody in Chicago is not killing people. Chicago is only one city within a county and one city within a whole state, right? And it's only one city within the whole United States where this country, there's over 40-something million black people in this country. And you're going to take a handful of people, a handful of incidents. He said he had like 8 different videos on his Instagram page. And I'm sitting there like, bro, there's like 40-something million black people in the United States. So you're going to take a handful of isolated incidents and pretend that is representative of Black America or representative of black men in America in general, and then pretend that you don't understand that you're making a generalization about an entire population of people. It's just insane, right?
And
it's
let me
insane.
say this.
So, go ahead, bro.
No, I want to say this too, bro. You're talking about me. When you say black men don't protect black women, you talking about me. You talking about all my brothers.
That's right.
And like when you say that, we're challenging you. And for people who want to say that, even women, right? And I would love to hear from women to say that. And you even put the post out on your page. I want to hear examples because if you consider what that statement means, I think sometimes people only want to take it from the context of a particular relationship during their wife, their girlfriend, or some intimate relationship or whatever the case may be. But the deal is, it can't be just about intimate relationships, because think about it. That woman also has a father, and she may have a brother, an uncle, a cousin, a grandfather, people that work at her job, people that involved in the whatever organization she's a part of, her church, all the neighbors, people in the neighborhood, and to say there's not one man that she feels protected by, I would say those people are in the minority, you know. And again, we need to understand, like, this is, you gotta take everything in the context of why are we at the bottom of the bottom? How do we get there? Did we put ourselves there? And if that's not the case, of course we did not. So why are you again directing the ire on us, like the most victimized group? You need to direct your ire on the victimizer. That's what the part I don't understand. It's the same thing, like we say, it's crime in the community. Yeah, he basically saying you Negroes need to stop shooting each other. That's why y'all keep. We need to stop all this gang violence. It's your fault that you got crime in the community. Y'all need to stop gang banging. Well, look, you got to fix the poverty problem. Address reparations. I have not heard reparations been mentioned by this man one time. I don't have y'all.
I've never heard this guy speak to reparations. I was on their website. What's the name of their organization? Oh, man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm looking for reparations. All of these different activist groups, I'm looking for reparations on their website. And when I brought up during the debate, I don't know what values Tory Lanez grew up with. Like, I'm an American descendant of slavery.
From Canada?
From like Canada somewhere. He was like, so what that mean? We all black the same. Well, that does mean.
No, we're not, brother.
Different. That does mean something different. So, I mean, look, man, you know, some people don't know what's going on. I'm trying to read some of these comments. I see family members. I see my cousin in the chat. He said that's not going to help. Say, I don't know what you talk about, cuzzo. Come on, cuzzo. All right, we gotta address. You could be family, it don't matter. You gotta get it. He says that's not going to help. Free education is more important than reparation. Okay, brothers, what do y'all think about being super highly intelligent with degrees and dead broke? What do y'all feel about that?
Let me jump. Access to capital is an issue. Not only access to capital, access to unemployment is an issue. Unemployment is high, right? Not necessarily because of lack of education, but now because of how COVID has affected things. Black businesses, almost half of them have been shut down due to COVID. Most of them not going to come back. So education is one thing. Capital is something else. This is a capitalistic society, operates on capital. You can have all the education in the world. There's a lot of people who are super duper educated, but don't have access. They don't have outlets for those for that education. And it depends what you're educated in. Educated in what? Right? Because everything that you go, a lot of people go to school and get things that they can't even come out and use.
Oh, you was about to pull that up?
Yeah.
Let's go into this real quick. Cuzzo, I hope you listening in, Cuzzo. Peep it. This is from a report called What We Get Wrong About Closing the Racial Wealth Gap. It was produced by Dr. Sandy Darity and several other notable economists, PhDs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, it says at every level of educational attainment, the median wealth among Black families is substantially lower than white families. White households with a bachelor's degree or postgraduate education, such as a PhD, MD, and JD, are more than 3 times as wealthy as Black households with the same degree attainment. Now, this is coming from the economist, cuzzo. This ain't my opinion. This is the people that are looking at the numbers and looking at what's happening with not just our people, but with all people in this country and how it relates or rather compares to our people. It continues, moreover, on average, a black household with the college-educated head has less wealth than a white family whose head did not even attain a high school diploma. A black household with a college-educated head has less wealth than a white family whose head did not even obtain a high school diploma. It takes a postgraduate education for a black family to have comparable levels of wealth to a white household with some college education or an associate's degree. And he cites Derek Hamilton. I can't pronounce that name. I'm not going to try right now. But here's the graph. Median household net worth by race and education. The blue is whites. The orangey reddish color, burnt orange, I guess, is black people. So we see post-college. This is after college. You done got your degree. You're putting your degree to work now. White families, white household wealth, white families, $455,212. Black families, $141,115. Okay. People that are just in college, they're in college. Maybe they have some minor degree and they're working their way up to a higher degree, and they're working, et cetera, and they're using the degree that they have. Okay, let's look at where white families stand in household wealth: $268,000 to $70,000 for our people. Okay, some college. Maybe you didn't finish college, or you may have some credits. I don't even know if this means a possible a minor degree. I'm not sure. But let's look at the numbers. For white people, it's $135,000, $415,000. For black people, it's $18,200. Let's go to high school. If you just got a high school diploma, white people on average household wealth has $118,580. Black people with high school diplomas have $6,660. Let's go to less than high school. Household white wealth is at $82,968, while black households that don't have no high school diploma, and I don't know if GED is coupled into this, but their net worth of household income or household worth is $2,775. Cuzzo, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. We need reparations to close the racial wealth gap. This isn't a self-inflicted issue. This is generations of systemic oppression, systemic boxing out, systemic locking. You think I wanted to sell drugs in my projects growing up? No, I wanted a job. I went and looked for a job when my daughter's mother told me she was pregnant. I went and filled out like 15 applications. I didn't get one call back. And when you from where we from, we got to do what we do. And that never, but it doesn't always translate into being a successful businessman. Hardly do we come from selling rocks on the corner or in the lobby to becoming some CEO at Wall Street. Hardly. We're boxed out of wealth. So, anybody wanted to add anything to that? I want to play. You know what? I think. All right, I'm gonna play.
I just wanted to add one more thing. And then we got to look at also. We looked at just the general between college degree and not having and different levels of college degrees. Then if you break that down, even between age, it's much more stark, because you will see that the younger people, like people working age people and people working age black folks and with children and stuff like that, married or not married, the wealth, the drop off is just. Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah.
No.
Hold on. All right. Yeah. My mic went out. My AirPod died. But yeah, so the drop off is tremendous because when you look at the fact that most of the wealth is held by Black boomers, and so their wealth is held in the equity in their home is held in like some pensions, some little retirement stuff that we're not going to be getting most likely, and they don't have huge levels of college debt because school wasn't is out of reach. As far as, I mean, you go look at the cost of getting a degree these days. I mean, I was looking at Howard University. I think with like room and board, it was like 42,000, 47,000, something ridiculous. That would be like 10 years ago. I remember when I graduated school, and I was doing a program, and I was at University of Richmond doing a program, and I was like, man, what's the tuition here? It was like 49,000 or something, 47,000. That was like the second highest in the country back in them days. Now you just go to Howard University. That's what their tuition is. You go to Harvard, it's like 70 something thousand.
Mm-hmm.
So how in the world? I mean, what does our outlook look like? The only way to close the racial wealth gap is reparations. It ain't about no education, because getting an education is expanding the wealth gap. Right now, with the situation we're in, at least when you break it down by age. But go ahead, bro.
Yeah, before I even share the video, I was working at this fiberglass insulation company for the past 3 years, and I was in there talking about the wealth data on break. And one of the brothers walked in. I had a bunch of people. I was showing them charts, and I was going in on this reparations thing. And one of the brothers walked in, and they was like, "Yo, come here. You need to listen to New York." That's what they called me at the job. You need to listen to New York. See, listen. So the brother, as I'm showing him the graphs, he was like, "Oh man, I took that in college." I was like, he said, "Yeah, I graduated with a degree in economics." It's like, what is? I was sitting there. I'm like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing?" This brother starts telling me his story about how that degree was basically worthless to him. His wife had, I think he said, masters, 3 different degrees, and she worked that she could never get a job paying more than $44,000 a year. Her degrees were worthless. They were worthless. Like, if you don't understand the system and what we're fighting, come on, man. Come on, y'all. Come on. Like, yo, we got the resources. If you feel that education or whatever is the key, hit me up and I'll send you some of this research, because the data has to rule at the end of the day. So let me play this video by Dr. Tommy Curry, who was a guest on, I think this is when Yvette Carnell was still rocking with the brother Irami, and they were doing their, it was? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were doing their stream together. So let's play this real quick. This is, I hope Mysonne listening. I really hope this brother is listening, and I hope everybody, just because he kept bringing up this domestic violence, et cetera. Look, don't hit our women, don't kill. And 9 times out of 10, we don't know the situation. I made an argument about proximity. I wasn't trying to use whataboutisms. I wasn't trying to say, well, what about white people? But my point was, you can't single us out and make it seem like we're the only ones that are doing this. This is a American issue. And I said that this is a social issue that has to do with the ills of this American society. So let's play this real quick.
Can't hear it.
No, wait a minute. Let me just remember. You say Black women suffering at home, because I got some people you can't see this, Doctor, but I got some people in the chat who are just kind of going buck wild. Somebody said, and I just black men are murdering Black women in mass.
Really?
I almost like this is a genocide.
So now see, but look, this is interesting, right? So and we'll even use very popular data on this. So the claim is that black men are murdering black women in mass. Okay. I'm assuming that the person is talking about perhaps intimate partner violence.
Yes.
In any given year, so say from 2013 to 2016, even if you're looking at the Violence Against Women report that's released every year in this country, the numbers in 2014 was 191 out of victims, killed black victims who knew their offenders, who were wives, common law wives, ex-wives, or girlfriends.
Okay.
In 2015, the number was 211. Right? In 2014, the number was 216. There's over 20 million black women in this country. So then what does it mean to kill black women in mass in that context? You see, this is the problem. The facts simply do not support
do we know how many black men were killed?
Women. I'm sorry, say
again? Do we
know
how many black men were killed?
During those same years? In 2014, I think the number was like 109. 109, 110. But we see this even in the CDC data, the recent study that caused an uproar a few weeks ago. They used a sample size of 18 states. In 2014, 107 women died. That same year, 68 men died. So in any given year, if you're talking about intimate partner violence or homicide, you're talking about a disparity that could go anywhere between 30 people up to 50 to 70 people. It just depends the year that you're looking at.
Okay.
But again, it's so important for people to understand that in any of these comparisons, if you add black men and black women together, the number is often less than 350 or 400. That is not the mass genocide or homicide of black women by black men. In any given year, the UCR documents that in terms of homicide, there are less than 1,000 victims. Usually the numbers around 900 or 800 or 900. So again, this is what I mean about context, right? And notice the move that the person in the chat is making. There is no evidence that supports this because overwhelmingly, black on black crime in quotes, which is just crime, is male to male perpetrated. And it's usually based on strangers. And that number every year, black men usually die 6,000 to 7,000. Right? I mean, think about that in terms of homicide, which is the number one killer of black men ages 15 to 35. The number one killer is homicide. And we lose 6,000 to 7,000 black men a year. In that same data, you're looking at 800 to maybe 1,000 black women. But if you do 16 years, if you just do the CDC leading cause of death, homicide never comes up as the number one cause. It's from 15 to 24, it's the second, and after 24, it teeters off to third, fourth, maybe fifth.
Wow.
So when these people make these claims about black men, and this is such an important point, when these women make these claims about black men, where are you getting the evidence for the stereotype which suggests that black men's lives are fundamentally incompatible with the living of black women and black children? Because the only other people who were making those kinds of arguments were white sociologists from 1950 to the 1970s. And this is what's so dangerous about and this is what I talk about in my book. This is what's so dangerous about reading black men based on these gender stereotypes that are masquerading as theory.
And here's the
There's
thing.
less than 1,000 black women killed per year. So what's the genocide? Is this the assumption that black men is the argument that black men kill 7,000 black men, but they're still targeting black women? What's the variability of crime? What is it about these people that makes them believe that black men wake up and say, because of patriarchy, I should go kill women? Because I find it interesting. That's certainly not how patriarchy developed as a system. Patriarchy was paternalistic to women. It protected them so they could control their reproductive system, so that they could have more men. That's been the case for the last 100 years in the United States. So what model of patriarchy are these women claiming that black men are seeking to emulate?
Yeah, and what you're really saying though too is patriarchy requires power. Like how else can you control a woman's reproduction without having power? And the power is the so wait a minute, let me just you say black women suffering.
All right, so I mean we look, Dr. Tommy Curry, he just went in, you know.
Hey, my son, brother. If you listening, brother, my son, I ain't mean to cut you, bro. I just want to say,
bro.
And Sister Tamika and whoever else, everybody. I just recommend everybody. If somebody can find a link to that video, the full video, and put that in the chat, please, y'all watch that. I don't care. Look, pay attention to the message. Let me just say that. Pay attention to the message. That video is key. You know, I know some of y'all might have hang-ups with the messenger. That's not material to what we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't get caught up on that stuff. We into the message.
Her message is on point. The message of the brother, Dr. Tommy Curry, is on point. Even the callers that called in and was on point. And the way that he answered their questions, like all of that, y'all, yeah. Somebody in the chat, please, one of the mods or somebody in the chat.
One of the mods.
Please put that link.
If y'all can find that video, can y'all put that in the chat, please, so that everybody.
I believe it's called our black people, the white supremacists.
Yeah,
something like, what is it called?
Oh, it was something to the effect of what was it called? White men, the new
straight black men are the white men of black people.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually. Well, I probably will watch that later tonight because that ironically was I said it earlier, was the first ever video that I came across of Sister Yvette Carnell. And I didn't know about. I don't know if there was an ADOS movement at that time. But that was the first video. I remember somebody tagged me in a link, and I was like, damn, they going in. And I was like, who the hell is this sister? And why she got 2,000 people listening? I ain't never heard of this sister before. So, but it is what it is. I'm glad that, quality information can come out of these platforms, particularly as we school people like Mysonne and those who are trying to push this anti-black man narrative. That brother just gave a breakdown of patriarchy that was expert. He expertly destroyed that patriarchy ideal, and the Sister Yvette Carnell came right behind him and basically said, how can you be a patriarch and you have no power? I want to pull this Jamel Hill tweet back up one more time. She says, she tweeted, and you notice it has 26,000.2 likes at the time that I screenshotted this at 7:56 a.m. I have increasingly found that, no, I didn't screenshot it, excuse me, at 7:56 a.m. That's the time she tweeted it. I have increasingly found that many black men just want better access to patriarchy. They don't actually want it dismantled. My immediate take to that particular tweet was a jab at Ice Cube. But what Ice Cube was saying was that black people want better access to wealth in this nation. He didn't make this a gender role thing where we're going to split men, because what are you trying to gain access to, Jamel Hill? Because we see people jockeying right now so that they could become the Negro whisperers on MSNBC, or as it's been called, MSDNC, so that when Biden and Kamala are president, they can get these people to keep our people in line in the same way that Al Sharpton did when he was on primetime slots during the Obama administration, when he said, we're not going to critique Barack Obama. So basically, y'all let him get away with destroying black wealth. There's articles and articles and articles, PDF papers and PDF papers about how Barack Obama's policy destroyed black wealth. Pull them up. Keyword that. Put it in your search engine right now and watch the whole page come up with how Barack Obama destroyed black wealth, which now shows that we are on a trajectory that by 2053, the middle black family in the United States of America, which is now only worth $1,700 without depreciating assets, your car and stuff like that, will be at $0, which means the people at the lower quintile, or let me say, I'm using them big words. My brother was trying to get on me earlier. at the lower end of the spectrum, which are already, I believe, at negative 0.4%, where will they be? We will be living in a country that we cannot afford to live in. These people are trying to toe a line for a political party that has historically done nothing to fix our position. Barack Obama's 8 years were a failure for our people. Point blank, period. Let us not get that confused. Anybody want to debate these things? We send out links. We send out links.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ali. Go ahead, bro.
No, yeah, so a lot of people will argue that, you know, he put together the Obamacare plan where X odd million of black people that were uninsured are now insured. What else are they going to say? I think that's about it. I don't know, other than Obamacare, what else they can argue at this point, because I don't, be honest with you, bro, I don't know of anything else other than the Obamacare bill, Affordable Care Act, that came out of that was beneficial to black people in any kind of way. I don't know. You know what I mean? I find it hard to argue pro Obama's policies in terms of addressing the consequences of blackness in America. I don't see, you know, I don't think he was concerned with that, because one of his main things was, I'm the president of the United States, not the president of Black America.
That's right.
Never acknowledging that as the president of Black America, of the United States, you can address the plight of Native Black Americans, but he didn't want to. And that was one of the things that he made clear to Ta-Nehisi Coates in that article with the Atlantic. You could go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, no, I don't understand. Well, I'm not even going to address some issue in the some comment in the chat.
Oh yeah, I see the Merc B person. Like we not even look. We're not, because when I've been interacting with this person on Twitter for a while, so we in the same circle. So I already know like what the argument is going to be. I'm not having that argument. Not having that argument. Do black men protect black women? See, I want you to finish, Josh, but I want to stress that this was the debate with Mysonne. He is the one that took it all around the world. And like I said, if y'all go watch the debate, it's up on Mysonne's Instagram page. I think it's called Black Man We Have to Do Better, where he's basically blaming us for all black men for what's wrong with black women or what's happening to them, instead of looking at us as a collective, doing the bidding of these, we call them Europeans, of these white people, these races that have paternalistic views over us. They feel that they should still be in control of us, and they will use our own people to try to put us in check. Again, go back and watch that Roland Martin video when he's interviewing Ice Cube. That whole conversation was designed for Roland Martin and Alicia Garza to say, Ice Cube, stop jumping the line. Get in line with what we're doing. Come be a part of our organization. We might throw a dress and some lipstick on you and some cute earrings and some blush and some eyeliner. But so long as you're towing the line that we want you to tow, because we need out the rest, that 20% that are tired of voting Democrat, and Democrats are doing nothing for us, to go vote Democrat anyway. Just no more of that. It's no more of that. And, go ahead, bro.
No, I was going to say, you know, Dr. Tommy Curry broke down some interesting statistics, because he broke down the numbers of murders. I believe it was homicides that are intimate. What is it called? Intimate partner violence cases, and they were like, what was he say, like 200 or something like that, like in a year, as opposed to like the amount of black men that get killed every year is like 7. I think I looked at the statistics for 2019. It was like 7,400 or something like that. It was a large number. So it's kind of like,
Josh, I want you to finish. I'm sorry, brother.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I want to read this comment. James Sumler wrote, Ice Cube was on Fox Soul. He was touting the CWBA contract with Black America And Claudia Jordan dismissed that and asked, what's in it for black women? And Ice was shocked. Like, y'all don't see the game that's being played. What's in it for black women? He didn't say contract with black men in America. Like, y'all got to peep the game that's being played, family. They're trying to keep us separated. They're trying to keep us separated because we're weaker when we're not together. And as soon as Josh get finished this, I'm gonna play this this video from Shahrazad Ali. Like we talking about it today, family. Make sure y'all hit the like. If y'all haven't shared this video out, share it out. Let them know we having a conversation today. With like men are standing up, not just for men, but for the black family in general, using that term black. Yeah, go ahead, brother Josh.
No doubt, for the family. That's why I put a post on Facebook today. Stop letting people try to divide our people for over gender lines for political reasons. You know, we need to protect the black family. That's why I put black family magic. You know, I don't want to hear the whole black girl magic. I understand you're trying to uplift, you know, people that may feel what is inadequate or whatever the case may be. But I think when we try to separate from the family, you're gonna have divisions. If your frame of mind is not centered around the black family, that means that you ain't got us in your picture. That means that your picture is all wrong. You're doing this all wrong if it's not centered around the family. Because that's how you got here. That's how you got here. And the attack, understand that white feminism is an attack on the black family. And people don't think it's white feminism because it's coming through a black mouth, a black face, a voice that people look at as like a street dude that come from the streets, so that maybe they look at as he a rapper, talking tough, or had a history of that, been to jail, all this kind of stuff. But it's white feminism. It's white feminism. It's echoing a message. And I'm trying to figure out where he's getting it from. And I wanted to go and just read a real quick before you get to the Shahrazad Ali video. I just wanted to read a real quick article that from it's a Coates article from back in the day.
My bad, Ali. I didn't.
Nah, leave it. Leave that up because that's a nice tweet, man. That's a good.
Because Josh wanted me to pull something up. I thought that was Josh's screen that I pulled up.
Yeah, no, I just wanted the people to see, and I thought that this tweet demonstrates really well the types of attacks that black men, and they're utilizing Ice Cube as really the face of black men at this point, right? You know what I mean? Because he's the one that is right there in the public space that, and he's the easy target for them. But basically he's taking the heat that's really designed for black men. So I just wanted you to see that. And the guy that tweeted that is a homosexual. Let's just be clear. No, I'm gonna stop sharing it.
All right. I'm gonna pull your comment up. Y'all know I have issues with the word black. I consider myself a Moorish American, but I think to send a message, that comment that we have up on the screen, we need to make trend. Hashtag Black Family Magic.
That's
right.
We need to put family in all caps.
We need to send a clear message that we see what's going on, and we're not gonna let you divide us. We're about that family life, and that's what building has always been in societies up until Americanism started to take this dark turn some decades ago. So I just want everybody to hashtag that Black Family Magic. Let's start promoting our family units. And I want to say again that I wasn't on my son's platform to debate with him to defend black men or be against black women. I was on there to defend the quote unquote black family. That's what I was on there doing. I'm not falling into the gender trap. I'm not. It's not going to happen, but I will point it out. And that's why we had the debate. So I'm going to pull my brother Josh's screen up, and then I'm going to play this video by Sister Shahrazad Ali.
Yeah, my bad. I'm just it's talk. This is an article by Coates. It's called "The Great Schism," and it was talking about basically how abolitionists, suffragists, and suffragists had a lot of shared values. So what happened to them? And then basically it talked about how Frederick Douglass was in partnership with a bunch of early advocates in the feminist movement, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, just to name a couple. And it talked about this article. I just want to read a little bit, but it was talking about how it didn't last very long, and then they really showed their true colors. So I'm gonna just read this right here. It says, after the Civil War with abolitionists, let's start here. In those circles where radicals and progressives debate the history of the various struggles of the late 19th century, split between nascent feminists and I don't know if I got that word right. I don't even know what it means. And the early civil rights movement is much more. Briefly, abolition was the primary cause of Northern reformers in the years leading up to the Civil War. The women's rights advocates who would push for suffrage from Seneca Valley on generally started out as abolitionists and temperance activists. It is not to say that women's rights, as was the phrase of the day, was not on the table, but the abomination of slavery, especially in the wake of the Civil War, tended to blot out all causes. See, so basically they're like, let's hurry up and do this abolition so we can get our stuff, moving. So it says, after the war with abolition achieved, the movement turned to broadening the franchise. It was generally agreed among the reformers that universal emancipation for all Black men and women was the ideal. But the old abolitionists split on the matter of timetables. On one side, you had activists like Julia Ward Howe, Antoinette Brown, Lucy Stone, and ultimately Frederick Douglass, who favored the enfranchisement of Black men as a first step. On the other side stood Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who argued that the incrementalism was bankrupt and that the franchise should be expanded to include Black men as well as Black and white women. The subsequent fight destroyed the old antebellum alliance and eventually sent both movements into a short dark age. So Anthony and Stanton, the leaders of the revolution, would eventually make common calls with Southern races. Meanwhile, the reformers would soon find that in the Deep South, the constitutional assurance for Black men meant nothing in the face of white terror. Black leaders like Booker T. Washington would eventually go as far as to effectively surrender all claim to the franchise, at least temporarily. Crazy. That's just crazy stuff. Anyway, the Great Schism has echoed down through the ages, and it haunts any talk of gender and race on the left. Not to put my commenters on blast, but here's a typical rendering. This is one of the great embarrassments of the first wave of American feminism, that so many supporters of the women's suffrage turned against the 15th Amendment using the grossest racial politics too. I've never felt the same way about Susan B. Anthony since I learned of her opposition to Black suffrage. That's basically the rendition I was treated to in college debates under the flagpole, or on this is Coates talking about when he was at Howard, or on the steps of Douglas, where nascent lefters like yours truly deployed arcane. I don't want to read all that by Coates. I want to skip back down. I want to talk about like what you see, what some of the statements that they were making. So it says, for sure, Stansel has a critique. She does not shirk from outlining the racism which plagued the movement from postbellum years on. The pattern begins in the years right after the war with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony campaigning for women's suffrage with the scandalous George Train. George Train, I believe he was an Irish dude who basically was pro slavery. He would like the institution of slavery to have continued. Good thing it did not. It says, this is the slogan: woman first and Negro last. Stanton dubbed Train the most wonderful man of the century, and frustrated by the stonewalling of women's suffrage, began a long pattern of justifying women's rights through bigotry. Think of Patrick and Sambo and Hans and Young Tung, who do not know the difference between a monarchy and a republic, who never read the Declaration of Independence or Webster's spelling book, making laws for Lydia Marie Child, Lucretia Mott, Fanny Kimball. It got worse. By the dawn of the 20th century, Anthony and Stan were openly courting avowed white supremacists like Belle Kearney. In 1903 found the old stalwart abolitionist Anthony in New Orleans at the National Association of Women's Suffrage Association, National Association of Women's Suffrage Association's convention, and during a rousing rendition of Dixie and tolerating Kearney's semi-barbaric denunciation of blacks. By that point, some of the most ardent suffrage activists were outright racist, like Rebecca Felton, who fervently supported lynching, and Kate Gordon, who eventually abandoned the suffrage movement because the national amendment would threaten white supremacy. Quote, state sovereignty and white supremacy are inextricably linked, said Gordon. Kearney argued that the enfranchisement of women would ensure immediate and durable white supremacy. I could go on and on, but yo, I just wanted to show you, like, these people that are pushing the division of black men and our women they don't know it, but they're continuing the legacy of Susan B. Anthony and some of the people I was just reading some of their quotes. They just don't understand it because they don't understand the origins of their activity. Right. But that's the modern day version of what they're doing.
That's right. So let me play this clip from Ali. Did you want to speak to that real quick? All right. Okay. Let's play this clip with our sister Shahrazad Ali. Let's play this.
The parental coalition of a man and a woman. We have sons who are, by not having a father in the home, they don't know how to respect women. They take on the black feminine female emotionalism. They become bitchy. They're doubtful. They're indecisive. They can't make a decision. They don't know what to do about being a man because we can't teach them that. We don't have that knowledge. We have daughters who grew up in a home where they don't see any affection, where there's no man there. They go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have no idea how to be no woman to no man, how to function in a house with a man, because they haven't seen it. Most of our children, just like us, get all the information we have about how you be with a mate off television. It's the only medium that shows us anybody being together. Those rules have not worked for us. The white woman's liberation movement, we don't have anything to do with that. We have not been under the control of the black man for over 500 years. So what do we have to get liberated from them from?
Talk.
They haven't been our faults. That's the white woman and her man. They're going through that, and that's their business. We don't have any business being in there. They only introduced it to break down the civil rights movement.
Talk.
Civil rights movement started with the black man, black woman, and the black child standing together, trying to plead for freedom, justice, and equality, and more benefits in the country that they had built. They threw the white woman in there with the women's liberation movement and made it a woman against man thing.
That's right.
That created a big separation between black men and black women because then everybody started going for self. Then they bring the welfare system in and tell us in order to feed and clothe and house our children, we have to give up our man. You have to put the man out of the house.
That's right.
When the white farm wife goes to the government for subsidy for the farm, they don't tell her to get rid of the farmer. They keep that family together.
That's right.
But in the black community, they make it a requirement because they want to keep endorsing into the black community. The black man is no good. And that he is not deserving of respect. He is not deserving of us letting him give us any protection or instruction, and that we are better than them. The major responsibility of the black woman has had on the earth for the trillions of years that we have been here has been one of nutrition.
All right, we could stop it. We could stop it.
Oh, let us say trick.
It makes me think of what we were talking about earlier, and something that Logic was talking about when we were talking on the phone, which was that our movements were family-based movements. Dr. King was there with his wife. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Malcolm X. He had his wife. You know, Marcus Garvey was married, had kids. You know what I mean? Like these movements of our people were family movements. They were family-based movements. There wasn't no separation the way they're trying to make this thing now. You know what I mean? And I think that we need to really take cues from what the elders and the ancestors did, they moved together. We need to do that. We need to bring the family structure back together. Everything that we see happening right now is designed to tear the family apart, and that's not what we need.
That's right. I mean, look, I've been in a house where I could tell my story. I don't mind. Like it's a part of this life that we live as the descendants of the people that were slaves here in America, and even worse treatment by the freedmen, right? The freedmen got worse treatment than the slave. They treated us worse when we was free.
That's right.
than during the time of slavery for a much longer period. We're still catching that hell. So I went through the shelter system in New York City. And that's one of the ways that you get Section 8, you get your own apartment, et cetera, et cetera. You got to be in there for a couple months. Those who've been through that system know exactly what I'm talking about. So there was a time that I had to leave. I was like, I got to get some money. I can't stay in here and just be locked down. There's curfews. So I broke out. I went, got a little bit of bread, went out of town, et cetera, et cetera. And, I was no longer a part of that particular system. But my wife at the time was. And she got the Section 8. And whenever the Section 8 inspector had to come over, I had to go hide in the back room somewhere, or hide in the closet, or make sure that I wasn't there. Like, there was a movie, man, what was that movie, Ali? It's an old school movie. What was this sister's name? Oh man, it just popped in my head. Was it Diane Carroll?
What was it about?
It was a family, and the same situation happened. It was in the 70s. And whenever like the welfare worker would come over, the man had to hide, and he just had to hide or not be there. It was an old movie from the 70s that just popped in my head. Claudine, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you, Dr. Moody.
There we go. So, like, I was a victim of that. And what was that? The year 2000. This movie was from the 70s. Like, this is a design. I don't know what these people are talking about. They're bugging. We're trying to separate the man from the woman by making it appear as if we are not protective. Any female that's with me, woman, I could say female. There's males and females. I could say male, I could say female, I could say man, and say woman. Let me say this real quick. They know that they feel safe when they walking with me. Period. Period. And I was telling my son, I don't know the men that you're talking about. I just don't know them. Yeah, we live in a different era and things may be different, but we protect what? Our women, we're gonna protect our women. You crazy? Breonna Taylor, her dude they was
letting off.
He let some shots. No. He let some shots go off. And as a man, the first thing you're thinking is putting your arm behind that, like, yo, get, whether it's your wife or your children. I don't know what this brother is talking about, other than I feel, like I said, you're trying to present some Alicia Garza, Black Lives Matter, black men, masculine black men are toxic type of program, and we're not having that, and we here for it. We here for it. Period.
Yeah. And one of the things that he was saying too, when you were asking him about where's this at, where's this coming from, he was telling you that it's basically coming from people that he speaks to at different marches or rallies or demonstrations and stuff like that. A bunch of non-verifiable, non-quantifiable stuff where he's talking to a handful of people who is telling them things that we don't even know what any of that stuff means. For somebody to say, I don't feel protected that doesn't really say anything, right? Like, what do you mean by that, right? You gotta, there has to be something to that. Like, you have to be able to tell me, like, something. One time, the cops dragged me out of my car, and it was a bunch of black men standing around, and they just watched it happen. And from that time on, since that time, I've always felt like, man, I'm just very vulnerable. Just to say that the overwhelming majority, and this is what he said, the overwhelming majority of black women don't feel protected. I'm like, see, here you go again. You're making a generalization. In order to say the overwhelming majority of black women don't feel protected means that you've spoken to the overwhelming majority of black women, and this is what they've told you. You can't prove that.
That's right.
There's no way to prove that.
Another thing he said was, he's at these protests and he's not seeing no black men. And, and Brother Logic had brought up the fact that, when you go and look at these protests like Ferguson, I mean, it was nothing but our men out there. Our brother, I believe his name is Anderson L, was out there with his fez on the front line. Shout out to my Moorish family on the front line. Like, I don't know what this, but when I took my daughters to a Breonna Taylor protest out here in my city down here in Georgia, and I'm gonna let y'all know, when I was walking, all the sisters just gravitated towards me. They seemed like a real man, a real G walking among them, different from all the rest of them guys that were out there. And I was kind of flanked by them because they seen that I was watching my daughters. And anything that would have possibly popped off or would have happened, whether it would have been some races or with the cops, I was ready to face whatever consequences for mine. So I don't know what these people are talking about. I don't know what they talk about.
Yeah, he need to tell that to Macaroni Mac.
Huh?
Yeah.
You need to tell that to Macaroni Mac.
That's right. Shout out to Macaroni Mac, man. He out there protesting.
Yeah, he be on the front lines.
On the front lines, out there in Harlem. Like, I don't know what these people talking about. Well, one more thing I want to bring up that he said, because he tried to use Malcolm X. People like to cherry pick quotes. It's just like that Martin Luther King Jr. quote that people cherry pick where he talks about a job. In order for a man to be a man, he's going to have a job or some form of employment so he could take care of his family. They don't speak about the broader context of why he was saying that, which was to say that y'all not giving our people these jobs. And how do you expect a man to be a man if he can't get a job and find gainful employment and take care of his family? So let's see what Malcolm X said. Like, we here today. I went to Mysonne's thread. I told him we was going live. He was welcome to come on, because we don't run from it.
I mean, you went on his live. So
I went on his live. I went on his live. Okay, Malcolm X says this, because he tried to say, quote Malcolm X, the most disrespected woman in America is the black woman. He tried to use that as the basis for his argument in saying that we as men don't protect black women. But let's see what Malcolm X said. The most disrespected woman in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. And as Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to respect our women and to protect our women. Because, that still goes on today in the Nation of Islam, among Muslim circles. I grew up 5%er, man, woman, child. I don't know what Brother Mysonne talk about. I was born 5%er. I don't know what this brother is talking about. But let me continue. And the only time a Muslim gets real violent is when someone goes to molest his woman. We will kill you for our woman. I'm making it plain. Yes, we will kill you for our woman. We believe that if the white man will do whatever is necessary to see that his women get respect and protection, then you and I will never be recognized as men until we stand up like men and stand up like men and pays the same penalty over the head of anyone who puts his filthy hands out to put it in a direction of our women. He's talking largely about white men molesting and harming our women. This brother is taking things out of context. Like we do research over here, brother Mysonne. We different.
And again, you can't use 8 videos on your Instagram page and pretend that that's a representation of Black America. 40-something million people, and you got 8 videos, and you and spoke to a handful of people at various rallies or demonstrations you've been to. Allegedly, like, we don't know. I wasn't there to hear these women. Who knows if these women are even telling you the truth? And what kind of threats do they feel unprotected against? Are they real or are they imagined? Who knows what that stuff is? None of that stuff really means anything because you don't know what it is. You wasn't there to hear it. I didn't witness anybody telling him anything. He said, believe me, bro. This is what they're saying to me. Like, I wasn't there. And not only was I not there, I don't know what's really going on. And whoever's telling you that, I don't know what's going on in their lives to know that they're actually telling you the truth about something. What are they being threatened? What do they feel threatened about? What is it that they feel threatened about? Is it some kind of domestic violence situation? And if it's a domestic violence issue, which he brought up, you can't blame Black men for what's going on in somebody's household. If something's going on in somebody's household and I'm not there to do anything about it, how are you going to blame Black men for that? A lot of times when stuff is going on, a lot of people are not even around. So you're gonna condemn the whole population of Black men by saying they don't protect women and when incidents are occurring and they're nowhere around when it happens. I wasn't there when Breonna Taylor got shot, so you gonna blame me for not protecting? I wasn't even there.
Was there bust back,
and the brother that was there bust back. Come on, there was a brother. Remember the brother down in Florida that got killed protecting his woman because he went to fight the white man that disrespected his woman. I think I don't know. I think it was outside in the parking lot outside the store. And the brother was in there with his son or something like that, little boy, and the white man pulled into the parking lot and got into it with his girl who was outside in the car or something like that. And he confronted the guy and was getting ready to get into it with him. The guy pulled out a gun and shot him in the chest. I don't know if y'all remember that, maybe a year or two ago, right down in Florida. Right down in Florida, brother standing up for his woman took a bullet.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's exactly what happened. That racist white supremacist was talking to that woman, and the brother came like, "Yo, what you doing?" Like, that's an example. That is an example of exactly what I was telling my son earlier. You got the game confused, beloved. You got the game confused.
I wanted to talk about the part that he spent the most of his time and energy on because it seemed like he got his arguments jammed up and he wanted to focus in on the part where he thought maybe he got you jammed up. And because you gave the example of, if somebody's abusing their woman and still protecting that woman from somebody else that might want to cause her harm or abuse her or whatever the case may be, might be trying to rape her, that's still, like, you can't say that he's not protected, because you were saying it's two different things. Domestic violence is two different things. And I will say this, again, we got to go back to the original point I made at the beginning. You can't isolate only Black folks domestic violence in domestic violence, because you have to understand, when you control for poverty, when you control for level of income, domestic violence, we may have less. We have to look at that. We may have, I don't know if it certainly is the correlation is made between poverty and domestic violence. There's a correlation, the higher the poverty, the higher the domestic violence. So you can't say that, you can't separate the two, and we are the most impoverished group. There's that. Then you know, it's hard for a person to protect somebody else from themselves, you know. So you can protect somebody from somebody else, but it's harder for a person to protect them from themselves. How would you? I mean, that takes a lot of restraint. If you knew how to solve your own problem, you'd probably already solve it. You know, that's the issue. So domestic violence is going to be an issue. We just need to stop acting like it's going to be an issue for us. And you know, the point, you know, unfortunately, with this example, this is a hypothetical example anyway. We're just trying to make some sense out of it because he highlighted as like the crux of his definitive point, saying he, you know, beat you in the argument. And but the issue I have is, you know, that same person that may be abusive to, let's say, their significant other, they may protect their daughter, they may protect their mama, they may protect their whoever. They may other women might still say, well, yeah, that man is I do feel protected by that man. So it's like you can't those are two separate things. You can't put those together. And so I would say, yeah, a person that is abusive to a woman, you can say that he's not protecting her from himself, yes. But guess what? If another man knew about that, if her brother knew about that, if her father knew about that, if her neighbor or somebody that cared about her knew about that, trust that they would be fixing that, they would be addressing that situation. All I know is, let me find out my sister or my mama or my cousin or somebody is going to come and abuse them. We having some serious. I don't even want to say I'm gonna have a serious conversation. I don't even want to say what I'm gonna do on there. By the way, never mind.
That's right.
Definitely.
It's understood.
You know, yeah, Brother Ali, you want to go in?
I just said it's understood.
I mean, I think we've done enough.
Yeah, but well, let me say this.
Go ahead, bro.
I wanted to hear from some sisters, to be honest with you, because I mean, at the end of the day, this is about them and their feelings. I would have loved to hear some testimony from some sisters to see what they feel about this, and if they feel unprotected, why, and can they give some examples or some breakdowns of what that's about and where that's coming from.
Well, I did a thread on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share. Yep. I'm not gonna read all of these. I'm gonna just kind of scroll through them. After we got off, he asked me to do a poll. Basically, you see, we got 79 comments. Some people start debating about irrelevant stuff like Moorish and using the word black. Like, yo, we so far past that. Don't come at me with that. I've written some powerful articles in that regard. Yeah, don't come at me with that.
I just want to know what the sisters are saying.
Yeah, you know, somebody always got to take something left. Do black women feel protected by black men? Give an example. One I did from my father. I do. I have too many examples to list. I can't answer that without incriminating myself. I do. I have all brothers, and we are very close. They have always been gentlemen with me, even when teaching me to fight growing up. Somebody said as a whole, not to be honest, they got into a whole debate about that. I asked people, remember to give examples, and a lot of people that said yes did kind of give examples to a degree, definitely, but not by my father, my boyfriend, yes. Somebody said no. But some women don't. Men like you might be the example to some women who've not felt protected by black men. Example, I didn't feel protected by my ex. You know, like, so, you know, people gave their examples. The brother Muath Al-Khattab said black men, he put a meme up that said black men have always protected. It's from a sister from Twitter, Lainey from the Birds. Black men have always protected me. Black men have always uplifted me. Black men have always valued me. I don't know about y'all. I don't agree, though. Don't generalize. Somebody else said, I don't agree, though. I'm trying not to call people's names. I agree, though. Don't generalize it. That's not fair. It actually can be dangerous. Black men don't need any more negative stereotypes attached to them, especially ones that put black men and women against each other. Had to read that whole thing. One sister said, I don't see it. You know, I told people provide examples. Some people said, I don't want to explain. Sister said, I do, from my father, brother, and son. Occasionally, it has been a stranger. Sister said, only by the men in my family. one person, I do want to read this one. Example of a stranger. Years ago, I worked as a cashier in a grocery store. Unbeknownst to me, this young white boy picked up a can and was going to throw it at me while my back was turned. Two black men told him he better effing not and proceeded to follow him out the store. They probably put hands on him. I don't know. But they protected me and didn't know me, and I never saw them again. People saying that they watched the live. Sister said, absolutely, been married over 16 years, and my husband is my security each night. She basically said, you know, brother told her, I can't even go to sleep until I know you're sound asleep. One of the crazy boys.
that's
you know what I'm saying? I don't know what this brother was saying when they sell drugs or are the police. This one guy said, black men only care about their mothers and females that are blood relatives. The way that black men treat women, they would never do that to their daughters. I mean, you know, this was, another one of those generalized statements. Even the sisters that are on here giving examples of protection are talking about their own personal stories. This guy is generalizing. Sister said, I feel protected by many black men, but some black men are problematic. See, that's a proper way to frame it, because you can't disagree with that. You can't. There would be no debate. So look, it's a bunch of comments that were on here. So I wanted to read them, and we had to. I did the post overwhelmingly on my post. I didn't try to frame anything or reframe it. I didn't say I had a debate with Mysonne earlier. I just put the post that y'all were looking at. Do black women feel protected by black men? Give an example. And that was it.
And the ones that said that they didn't feel protected, they didn't give examples.
No.
Right.
You gave no examples at all.
See, and that's the thing. The bad part about not giving examples is because now it becomes a thing of, well, what do you feel threatened by? Is it real or is it imagined? Like, are these real threats or imagined threats? Like, what are you even talking about? If you can't give an example to say, yo, you know what? I was walking down the street and somebody came and started to mug me, and it was a bunch of black dudes standing around and nobody did anything. They just watched and they just pulled out cameras. Like he said, black dudes just pulling out cameras, watching some black chick get mugged or whatever the case is. Yo, give an example. If you feel like you haven't been protected, give an example. Even if it's as simple as, I don't feel like my father protected me. It could be something very, very personal, but you don't have to go into details, but hey, my father didn't protect me when he should have, or my uncles didn't protect me or put me in harm's way. Whatever the case is, you don't have to go into the details, but hey, give us something so that it makes some kind of sense. And it's not like, I think that you're just some kind of feminist making these statements because it seems like the thing to be saying at this point in time.
Definitely. So one of the sisters said she want to jump on real quick.
Please.
And we want to, because we already beat this thing up. Let me explain something. I'm used to going on or in hostile debate settings. So for me, if you go back and you watch the video, it's on Mysonne's page. You'll notice me laughing and smiling because I've been debating for so long. And I know that when I'm trying to make certain points, he keeps cutting me off because he sees where I'm going with it. He sees how I'm driving home the point and keeping it on the debate topic, which is, do black men protect black women? That's the debate topic. Everything else is extra. It's extra.
And all of that is general. That's general. And you can't now, once we start getting into it, make it centered on domestic violence, because that's not all that goes on in this country is domestic violence. There's all kinds of things that go on that can make somebody feel threatened, not just domestic violence. So we don't need to now move the goalposts and make this a conversation about domestic violence, which seems to have been what wound up happening.
Let me respond to Merk B. Merk B and say that was your most balanced take this whole show. There are some who are problematic. I've never denied that. Some people, I was told that it appeared as if I was there not being a protector of Black women. The purpose wasn't for me to come on and show that I was a protector of Black women or show that I was taking up for Black men. The purpose was, first and foremost, my son, show and prove, which he never did. He never did that. Me saying that I'm a protector and all of those different things, and the men that I know, all of that is secondary. The balance was, I'm here to speak about our families. Our families. Why are you trying to do this? What Jamel Hill and all of these people are trying to do and separating us by gender line. Like I know how to debate. And what I did was take the balanced approach. People are going to see things in the way that they see them, and that's fine. I can't police how people reviews my debate performance. You know, some people giving me shout outs, and I could, you know, post those shout outs up, because I'm gonna tell you, I got like over like 100 and some followers after that debate. With my son on IG. My profile went up a little bit. I don't mind at all. I'm standing up for our families at the end of the day.
Where's the sister at? I thought she was coming on. What happened?
I didn't want to put the link in the chat. I will see if she put her email in.
I don't. Are you sure it's a sister? Somebody named FFADOS or something like that.
Okay. Oh, my bad. But somebody said she wanted to come in.
FFADOS now. Yeah, it looked like it's a sister on there. Asking what's the call in.
Yeah, there's no call in.
Got to get you the link so you can come on.
Well, okay, all right. I was gonna say if somebody else want to get the link.
All right, look, I'm gonna put the link in the chat, but
everybody's not guaranteed to get on.
Yeah, FFADOS. I'm putting this link in the chat. Everybody else is not coming on. We want to hear from people. I wanted to hear specifically from my son. This was what this was about, going at that. So I'm gonna put this link in the chat.
I wanted to say too, real quick. You know, I think part of what feminism did, as far as with the white feminism in America did, and then they pushed the Black feminism, is they made it to where masculinity equal like patriarchy or something.
Exactly.
And that's and so then when you do that, you take the effeminate male and now he's more, you know, preferable, as if that was, as if, you know, and understand like racism existed in both, you know, in both, you know, there was a whole lot of, you know, people think, well, maybe, you know, we'll have a better chance. And the feminists will think, well, maybe we have better conditions dealing with, you know, effeminate males and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they act like they murder too. They murder. It's, you know, gay people be murdering. They do. It's like everybody else. The white gay, they still has white gay slave owners, and they did rapes and stuff too. So it's like, come on, that's not something that's. Go ahead.
All right, I gotta speak to this because the abuser versus protector debate got shake for Abdo. Got shaky. Now, when I gave an example, right? And let me I'm gonna bring the sister on in 1 second. I gave an example about and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, my bros. I listened to my bros. They thought it was a bad example because of the crowd that is attracted to that particular platform, Mysonne, et cetera, right? So the example was this. You may have domestic violence. This is true. And I said domestic violence is bad. Men shouldn't just be beating on women and killing women, et cetera, et cetera. It's bad across the board. But I said that even in that abusive man is not going to let somebody else from the outside come in and abuse his wife. He's still gonna protect her. So he tried to flip it and switch it and make it seem like, so basically you're co-signing the man abusing the woman just so long as somebody else don't. I started off, I prefaced my comment by saying that it's not right for men to be beating on women. So all the rest of that was just some extra nonsense. So he brought a sister on, right? The first thing the sister says out of her mouth, y'all, please go back and check it, is that she agreed with what I said. But then she went into what Mysonne was saying to try to make it seem like what he was saying was correct. The video was there. That was when his eyes got big, because he was going to have that debate as long as he needed to find something, and his eyes got big like a shark in the water because he was getting cooked. he was getting cooked. So I
wanted to address one thing I see in the chat. I see a comment says my stepfather was like that. He abused my mother. And, I feel terrible reading that. One thing I want to say is we have to understand that it's a system. There's systems, and there's like large scale planning and policy that influence behavior and that influence our condition. So when you see things like that, where you have domestic abuse and violence, and you personally experience it, I can understand how the message that's talking about trying to be mad at the black man would resonate. However, we have to learn how to tell people to not tell people that type of message. Instead of putting your issues with the black man, you need to put your issues with the system, the policies that create the conditions that make a disproportionate percentage of us have those problems.
All right. I want the sister to come in, but I gotta address this real quick. I got to. He said you can't be an abuser and a protector at the same time. Mysonne got you on that one, Lord Abbott. All right. Okay, I'll concede that, right? But that wasn't the point. The point was these are two different things. You're trying to introduce every element that you can to make an argument. That was the point that I was making. So I had to reach for an extreme example like that because you're trying to generalize all men. And I didn't think that was fair because it causes a rift between the family unit. That's what I was getting at. If y'all feel that he got me on that, okay, I'll concede that. I'm big enough to do that.
But right before we let the sister Brianna talk, I wanted to say that's why I said, yeah, that man might not have been a protector, but if that woman had a father, a brother, a cousin, or if somebody in the neighborhood who cared about her knew what was going on and witnessed that firsthand, or if it was a family member that somebody told them about that, I promise you that family member will go and see that husband and have a serious conversation or bust some heads. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, hey.
All right, let's bring our sister on, Sister Brianna. She's been watching our platform for some time under the screen name FF80OS. Welcome to the platform, sister.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I hope that I could stay on for a minute because I would like to have the dialogue back and forth a little while. But first thing I want to say is stop framing your relationship not working out and blaming it on abuse, because that's what I see a lot of. It's not actually abuse. You're making the excuse of, okay, I haven't had good relationships with black men romantically, so I'm gonna blame it on not feeling protected. That has nothing to do with what's going on here at all. From the time, we as ADOS people, we come from ADOS family. Being protected is not just through the scope of, it's not through the scope of just relationships. Your protection is within family, it's within friendship. We all come from Black fathers, Black brothers, Black cousins, Black friends who have protected us since birth. Like
That's
I just don't understand why this is even a conversation. I mean, I do and I don't. And if you are feeding into the conversation, you are supporting white supremacy. That's all you're doing. And everything is a contradiction. You say you want a good man in XYZ, but you are doing everything to prevent that from happening by saying Black men don't protect, Black men are abusive. Then why do you want a Black man? It makes zero sense. And since you don't have one, and since you're unmarried or you're single or whatever, you want to make Black men out to be the problem. And it's not okay. And at the end of the day, it's crazy because I have so many females that I know. Most of my friends and people I went to high school with have sons. So you're creating the next generation of people who are going to think like you do. And it's messed up. And I can think of so many situations in my life where only Black men protected me. That's it. No other race of man. I had Black men protect me when Black women wouldn't. Whether it be I've had Black men protect me in the workplace. I've had Black bosses where if I have a problem, I know that Black boss is the only person I can come to. I know at the end of the day, Black men are the only group of men that are going to fully understand me.
That's right.
And they protected me my whole life, and they protected a lot of us. Like, I'm not gonna let the fact of, oh, I might have had one bad relationship, not even anything abusive, just a relationship didn't work out, and I make it about that and make him the problem. But it's a bigger thing of just where we are. You know, we've been bred into this, whether you want to go to, you know, child support, like welfare, like it doesn't matter where you want to start, but also where it's getting even worse now because you have to watch what you let yourself take in. It's in the music, it's in the lifestyle. Everything is teaching us as Black women, okay, we don't need a man, XYZ, like you know, ends ain't shit. Like that's not the mentality to have. And that's what's being pushed to us. And that's creating how we think. And unfortunately too, we're being taught that other races are better. And that's manipulating our mind. And I know for a fact, and I've been guilty of this in the past, because before ADOS, I was a lot more racially fluid in my dating as well as in my friendships. And I had to check myself. I accepted things from white men that I would never accept from a Black man. Period. I was I was letting them behave all types of way, and not only was I accepting things from them, I was changing the way I act. I was on my best behavior with them, but I would be acting a fool with my own. And a lot of people I feel are guilty of that, but they're not ready to see that.
All right, we have a person that's been commenting all night on Facebook. I'm gonna pull her comment up, and I want you to address it. She's been quoting statistics. I don't think that she understands the context of this argument, but because I know those statistics, we've looked at them earlier. But here's the comment.
She can get a link too.
This is a terrible argument, Brianna. I have wonderful relationships with all of the Black men in my life. That doesn't stop me from recognizing the vulnerabilities and victimization of other Black women. What do you say to that?
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what she's saying there is fallacious because she's trying to be a representative of a group of people that she's really not a part of. She's not a part of the people who feel vulnerable and victimized. She's saying she had great relationships personally, but she acknowledges that there are people who didn't. That's where we are. We're saying the same exact thing. We understand that victimization occurs. We understand that people are vulnerable. Black men are vulnerable. Black men have been the most vulnerable have died the most in this country at the hands of white supremacists than anybody else. So we understand vulnerability. We get pulled over and get dragged out the car through the windows and beat down and get knees in our necks. We understand vulnerability. We get that, right? That's been our history. So, but what you're doing now is, again, you're using a generalization to make it seem as if that represents the whole population, and that's just not true. But go ahead, Brianna. What do you say to this?
It just so bothers me how, not just with this argument, but just with all the arguments, we are the only race that is looked under a microscope this way. Asians are getting abused right now. White people are getting abused all over the place. Women of all races get abused. They're bad actors in every group, but the problem is they're making this argument about Black people as a whole, about Black men as a whole. Of course, there are bad apples. We already mentioned that there are some people who are problematic, but as a whole, Black men are not a abusive people, and they protect us. They have been protecting us since we've been here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say, look, man, my neighborhood a few years ago, just a nice neighborhood, nice part of town, I should say, and some real expensive apartments down the street. They had popped a sex trafficking ring. Wasn't Black folks.
That's right. That's right.
So I mean, when people say, like, what I would say to that, right? When I go back and I'm reading the comment from the sister Raquel, is why you got to put Black folk in there, like that, because this is not a problem that's limited to Black women, and I already gave you the context of economic situation and coming from the legacy of slavery and all these other factors that make sense that there's going to be disparities where we're going to be at the bottom of everything. Why do we think that IPV is going to be any different? We're going to be at the bottom of everything until we get reparations, until we get true repair. I mean, and when we say that, what it's basically saying is if you're going to argue against that, you're saying that we're inherently dysfunctional. Like it's something that's in our DNA. I mean, what is it that makes us more prone to do that? I don't think that's the case. I think it comes from being at the bottom of the bottom due to the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow and systemic oppression in America. And we got to address that first. That's what I'm saying. We have to take our energies and stop trying to beat up Black men with that, because you don't see white women beating up only white men with that. You don't see, other groups beating up, saying, well, we need to beat up their men with that and tear the whole position of the whole race down, because they understand that man and their men, that one situation is not representative of the whole group. So you're tearing your father down, you're tearing your brother down, you're tearing your people that are not abusive and people that are not going through that. You're tearing the whole, family structure and upward mobility possibilities down. All these type of things. So I understand that we got some issues, but you can't use it to pathologize us. We need to put that in energy towards the real underlying issue, and not fall for the okie doke of the legacy of white feminism.
That's right. You got somebody else, Lord?
We as Black women, we are always actively fighting to dismantle a lot of stereotypes about us. So why are we becoming the oppressors and helping forward a stereotype about our own men? It makes absolutely no sense. And in my opinion, there are so many things that Black men go through that we do not advocate for as Black women to the level that we should. We should be out in the streets about how our men are incarcerated at this level, and we're not. At the end of the day, Black men are getting murdered by the cops way more than we are. and we are not speaking up the way we should, our black men are going to jail constantly. 1 in 3 black men are going to go to prison at some point. We should be out in the streets up in arms about these things, and we're not. So we have to look at ourselves as well. Like, we have to protect each other. If you want to make the argument that black men don't protect us, we aren't protecting them to the level that we should.
Agreed.
My rule of thumb is, if you see somebody say something and they're blackface and it sound funny, take the blackface off and replace it with a white one and say it again and see if it still sound the same to you.
That's right.
You got to put the bleach back in the bleach container. Take it out the water bottle.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Last thing I kind of want to say, and it, to some people it's controversial, like it's all just my opinion, whatever. Another thing too, we as women, like I'm a strong believer in gender roles, and I believe that women are to be soft, and we are taught to be hard and to fend for ourselves, and then we do that, and then we get upset and say that we're not protected. That's not okay. Like, you have to want to be protected, and let black men protect you. If you don't feel protected, you need to look at yourself and say, hey, am I letting myself be protected? Because I let myself be protected, and I'm very protected by my men. So I just don't understand.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
So
we on the 2-hour mark, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we could wrap it up unless y'all wanted to add anything more. I'm good. I'm good. Said what you know. What I do want to read from page 46 and page 47 of From Here to Equality before we get off of here, because I want to point something out insofar as wealth positionality goes with our people, especially when we concentrate on women, right? When we talk about black and white wealth collectively, Dr. Darity and A. Kirsten Mullins does a wonderful job in even breaking it down between the income that you may bring in if you're a single parent, male or well, in this instance, it's women, and then he speaks about married families. So let's read it. This is from pages 46 and 47. It says, nor do differences in, can y'all see it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why it's not coming up the way. It says, nor do differences in family structure provide headway in explaining black-white wealth inequality. Single white women with children have as high a median net worth as black women with no children. Single white parents have more than 2 times the wealth, $35,000, at the median of married black parents, $16,000. As y'all can see, I have that underlined in red. Single white parents have more than 2 times the wealth, $35,000, at the median of married black parents, $16,000. So one single white woman at the median has more wealth than 2 blacks combined, husband and wife. It continues. The professed economic benefits associated with having the quote unquote ideal family type do not translate into closure of the racial wealth gap. Being a stable, married, 2-parent black family far from evens black and white wealth levels. And it's important that we point this out, right? It's important because at the end of the day, if we're not fighting collectively for reparations, what are we fighting for? To stay at the bottom? It makes no sense. It continues. Furthermore, there are vast differences in wealth between black and white women. For example, older, over 60 years of age, single black women with a bachelor's degree have a median net worth of about $11,000, while single white women with the college degree in the same age range have $384,000 and median net worth. Single mothers have negligible wealth, but the racial difference still is palpable. White single mothers have a median net worth of $3,000, but black single mothers have a median net worth of $0. All of these factors are important when we speak about the need and the push for reparations. Something I don't think I've ever heard Mysonne mention. I don't know if I've ever heard Tamika Mallory mention it, but it's not on their website. I keep forgetting the name of their organization. So first, we got to bring our families together so that we can have something, at least 2 pennies to rub together, because the data from one of the leading socio-economists in the nation says that black single mothers have a median net worth of $0. So when you start this alienation of men and trying to drive this particular wedge, which destroys, in my opinion, destroys the family unit, then we have issues here. And if you're not looking at the wealth data and understanding or if you're not looking at the wealth data and you're making statements like you're making, and you're not looking at the many pathologies and maladies that are beset within our people, the sicknesses, the illnesses, mentally and otherwise, then you're not serious about this fight. I can never take you serious. You just are not looking at the right information. So I wanted to close out with that. Anybody else wanted to add anything? We'll go to Sister Brianna. You want to add anything before we get up out of here?
Okay, 3 quick things. First, I want to shout out my friend Jarrell Stewart, who passed away saving his girlfriend's life.
Wow.
In 09. I want to give a big shout out to him. At 17 years old, he did that. Next, shoot, I forgot that quick. But sorry, give me 1 second. I lost my train of thought. Thinking about him. I don't know. I forgot the second thing, but the third thing was Black women, we got to stop trying to shoehorn our way into whiteness on the backs of throwing our Black men away. It's just not going to work. That's not how any of this works. So thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you. I appreciate that testimony and everything, man. That's what we need. We need to hear from the sisters. I was hoping, honestly, to hear from more sisters. I want to hear what they have to say, because my son is a man at the end of the day. We need to hear what the sisters have to say. And I think the best way to do it is to actually hear them themselves. That way nobody can say, I heard this female, she told me, nah, I don't want to know what somebody told you. I want to hear it from her. Let them explain themselves, because you may not even be explaining it right. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever my son is saying may not be exactly what what people were telling him. So I don't know. I need to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Facts. You want to address? Anybody want to address this comment before we get off?
I mean, I know I already responded to it several times. I acknowledge that that our women face disproportionate levels of IPV, and that intimate partner violence. That's what they call it. But I mean, I said it several times. So I mean, I don't know. But the point I was trying to make behind it was, you look at that violence is a direct relationship to poverty between that. So like my point is not to minimize it. The point is to get us to understand that it's an issue. Like, that's not something that only Black women deal with. And it's disproportionate because we have disproportionate poverty. We have disproportionate history in America. There's a whole lot of things that are against us is disproportionate. So if you want to solve the issue, the issue on an individual level, the individual can work on himself to improve the situation, to try to fix certain things, right? But on a macro level, it's systems that have to change to reduce those numbers. The numbers are not going to change because we, in a significant way anyway, if we, just kick the black man down and say y'all Negroes is terrible, y'all doing this, isn't it? Like, because you're speaking most of the time when you say that, you're speaking to people who that doesn't even apply to anyway. The key is changing the system, changing economic policy, changing so many different things that affect us being at the bottom, that affect us being in poverty, i.e. mainly, reparations. So if we focus on those things, then that's the only way I think that that issue, including others, is going to be solved. That's so my issue is, I'm acknowledging it. I'm just saying that, like, throwing the ire towards me is not going to solve the issue. Throwing the ire towards that individual maybe can solve the individual problem. Throw your ire towards the system. Use that energy towards promoting and getting the system to be fixed, and then you will see those problems be changed.
We might. Sister Raquel McGee, if you're listening in, because I don't know why you're still beating that drum. We've addressed it, as you still going in. But I think what we can do is
hold on. I want to say real quick, because I seen this. My bad, brother. I've been doing too much cutting. I've been trying to get better at that. My bad. But I was just saying, to say the same way. Can you put that comment the same way that we can? I wish she could get the link. I would like to talk to her anyway. I know.
It's 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think it's too late. But look, what I was gonna say is maybe we can have a continuation one of these days and have a bunch of sisters. We could bring Sister Brianna back on. Maybe Raquel McGee will come on instead of just typing this stuff in the chat, because I don't understand where the disconnect is at. I really literally don't. But it's up there, brother.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying the same way we can address the racial wealth gap in criminal justice system. I mean, again, it's not like those are black men issues. That's a black issue, period.
That's right.
Like you're splitting the issue into a gender issue.
That's right.
The racial wealth gap affects the black population, period. The black family. Right. The criminal justice system affects black women disproportionately too. Black women get disproportionately incarcerated more than white women in other groups. So that's a disproportionate impact. Gender-based violence. Gender-based violence. Yeah, there's a disproportionate, there's a gap there with a disproportionate rate there. Yeah, we can address that. But what I'm saying is addressing one is going to address the other. I don't know how if you have a plan or a way you think you can address the gender-based violence gap, a disproportionate rate, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Maybe you have an answer. Maybe you can direct me to an answer. But all I know is if you correct that racial wealth gap issue, we're gonna see a lot of issues corrected, including, I believe, the gender-based violence, disparity. But don't separate it. And don't separate, because the whole point is, again, the black family. I was about to say that. Black family, hashtag black family magic. We're not separating the man. We're not separating the black man from the black woman, the ADOS man from the ADOS. We're not doing that. We rise together, we fall together, period.
Next comment. I'm at the point where I just don't even know the point that she's trying to prove. But with the bros and now are gonna have a discussion. Okay, well, look, let me put Brother Devon from Brooklyn comment up. Peace, bro. He said Raquel is beating that drum because her advocacy is for black women alone. Advocacy is a drum beat, and her tune is a familiar song, unfortunately. The crazy thing is, I'm trying not to look at it that way.
Yeah,
that's why I keep saying I don't understand, because we've already spoken to the issue and trying to separate it. I just don't understand. But Raquel McGee, this is what you do. I'm gonna talk with the bros and see if we're gonna have a part two. People in the chat are saying, yeah, but we'll see. And we probably can have a part two to this tomorrow night. Maybe start a little early, around 7 o'clock. And have this discussion and bring the sisters on, and I'll put a post up on Facebook so that we could have a larger discussion, and we'll go from there. We could have a nice little discussion tomorrow night.
Yeah,
So,
peace to you, sis. Ain't no,
yeah, it ain't no
we'll
hard
have these
feelings,
discussions.
sis.
Yeah,
Ain't no hard feelings. We would love for you to come on and share your side. Share your side. I mean, people are calling you a feminist in the chat. If that's not what you are, then, and I don't know, because a lot of your see, look, we're gonna put this show together. We might do it tomorrow around 7, and we want the sisters to chime in. So,
talk on it, Riri.
you know,
That it happens.
yeah, it does happen. You know, men become abused by women. That's shown in the very research that she mentioned as well, that she conveniently left out. But we proved our point here tonight. It is what it is. Brother Mysonne, if you come across this video at any time, you want to continue the debate, and we do it on this platform where it's more structured, and you ain't gonna keep cutting me off on my platform. I know how it is. I know how it is going on other platforms. Like one of the 48 laws of power talk about basically picking a fight on somebody else's turf. So a part of you gotta respect that. So, and I knew that as it was going along. But when you come here, we're gonna have a more balanced discussion. Ain't gonna be no cutting off. So I'll leave y'all with the platform's motto, and that is, don't just fight the power, become the power, and then you will have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.
Peace. Shout out to the mods.
Shout out to the